Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. I am with Grant's Rock Warehouse. And a few days ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago or whatever, I asked Grant if he would I wanted somebody to listen to this double album by Yoko Ono that I love. It's one of my top 10 favorite. Oh my God.
Oh my God, we both
Yeah,
have it.
Grant actually bought it without hearing it first. Very
Yeah.
brave man. But I wanted somebody to, that didn't dislike Yoko Ono, that I knew would be honest with his feelings on listening to the album. And so I asked Grant, and he said yes for $500. He'll do it.
I know.
And so, anyway, Grant, first off, tell us about your channel, and I'll have a link for it below.
Yeah, my channel is Grant's Rock Warehouse, and what we do, we just have panel discussions. I very rarely do a show where it's just me blabbing on because I don't think anybody cares what I have to say. But I do think there's a lot of value in panel discussions. We have a lot of panel discussions about, we try to talk about bands that no one really talks about. Now, I'm never going to build an incredible empire based on that. But sometimes we do talk about bands, Queen, for instance, or I don't know. There's plenty out there. But yeah, that's kind of the premise with my show. It's just a panel discussion. We get together, we rank like our favorite tracks from 1977, things like that. It's just a place where everybody can come together and talk music pretty much.
Yeah, cool. And so, before you get into your thoughts on this album, it's called Approximately Infinite Universe, right here. And so, what is your history with Yoko Ono?
Well, ever since I've been 10 years old, the Beatles are my number one band. They still are my number one band. They will always be my number one band. And I think back in the day, I remember I got, what was the album? Help me, Larry. What was the record that came out after this? Oh, brain problem. Well, anyway, I
Yeah,
got the
I've got it
eight
right
track.
here, actually.
Yeah.
It's
It's got
Feeling the
Yoko
Faith.
on the Pyramid. Yes.
Yeah,
I had the 8 track of that when I was a kid.
yeah,
And I remember playing it on my dad's 8 track player. And I'm really, I don't know. It was interesting.
yeah. And then there's
But
Fly. Yeah.
okay, that
It-
is the only history that I really had with Yoko, and other than I've seen, well, you can go on YouTube, you can see the video footage of her playing with Chuck Berry and John Lennon.
yeah, that's when most people think of Yoko Ono, right? Where they put in Yoko Ono, like a search, that comes up. And, everybody's, of course, joking and mocking her. And
Right.
I do understand it,
Mhm.
right? But it's like, there's more to her than that, people, like,
I agree.
yeah. And
I'm
I won't open this one up, Grant.
I do have that. You know what? I bought
Yeah,
that used
yeah,
not very long ago, and it's like the Ryko version pressing of it, and those are numbered.
yeah, yeah,
I've played it and it's absolutely hideous, but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
okay
I
if you're
agree.
yeah.
Yep.
If you're a completist, you need it, but
Yeah,
it's I don't
yeah.
know, avant-garde. Let's leave
And
it
then
at
I've
that.
also got this book on Yoko Ono, which is excellent. In Your Mind.
Yeah, I've never read that.
So
But in my Beatle fandom, Yoko always got a bad rap, and I don't think she should have probably got a bad rap. John was in love. I get it.
yeah,
The Beatles were gonna break up anyway. It really had nothing to do with Yoko. Yeah, maybe her in the studio
it
caused a bit of a problem,
it was
but
a lot of little things, but I think the big thing was the manager Klein. He
yeah,
was the big one, right?
yeah,
Like,
that was the
and then
problem.
everything else was little issues or whatever.
Yeah, but they had their run. People don't. I mean, we're not doing a Beatles discussion here, but think about it. The Beatles had they were together like 8 years prior to them making it big or whatever, 5 years. So by the time we got to 1969, 70, they pretty much had done it.
Yeah, I think they're the only band that had a perfect career for me. Like, you know,
Oh well, they never were long. Let's say it. Let me put it like this: they knew when to quit. Some
Yeah.
bands don't know when to quit.
No.
So their output, their records, their creative energy, their force, they knew when to quit, and what we have is a perfect records.
Yep.
You know, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So for this album, I'm just reading a couple of short reviews that are on Rate Your Music. Deserves to be an iconic album of 70s rock and light years ahead of its time. And I was looking for some negative reviews too there, and there weren't any, surprisingly. And this album is very mild compared to her other early albums. She actually sings on this album as opposed to squawks and screams, although there's a little bit of that on the album, but not
Yeah,
much.
a little
It
bit.
has a bit of everything: rock, blues, jazz, funk. It's good for sampling. Give it a listen, you'll be surprised. And it has a 3.62 out of 5 on Rate Your Music, which is pretty high for that site. So,
Mhm. Well, I must say, when you came up with this concept, of course, I'm always game.
yeah.
The thing about I love to rediscover things or discover things. Yeah, I knew about this record, Larry, but did I ever go down the road and go, you know what?
Yeah,
Really
I'm
should
going to listen
play
to some
this.
Yoko Ono. Yeah.
You don't think that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, she does get a bad rap. This record, I must say, is quite an album. I was totally blown away by it. It You've got Jack Douglas as the engineer, so
Mhm.
that's good. That helps. But it was a 2 LP set back in the day. How ambitious is that?
Yeah.
It didn't really do much on the charts. It only got to what, 194.
Yeah.
It was
For,
on
for
it
4 weeks on
for
Billboard. Yeah.
it didn't do anything,
No.
but it is very mainstream.
Yeah.
Elephant's Memory is the backing band, and Somewhere in New York City is another one of those records that I never checked out.
Yeah.
And of course, they backed John and Yoko on that
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
But my God, what a great band.
Yeah. I actually, even with Sometime in New York City, which I actually love, but I never thought the band would, I thought they were a good band, but not a great band. But listening to this album, it's like, oh my God, this band is so good, you
Mhm.
know?
They cook.
Yeah.
But I still haven't listened to Somewhere in New York City because it always had such bad reviews. And,
Yeah.
everybody I've ever talked to say, well, Grant, it's not a very good record.
Yeah. Yeah.
But whatever, it is what it is. John
Yeah.
and Yoko doing what they want. You have to applaud that.
Well, guess what our next video together is going to be?
I would do that.
Yeah,
Well,
this-
I haven't ever heard it, Larry. This is
yeah.
what's great about it.
Yeah.
Going into these records just cold
Yeah.
and really sitting down with them, it's wonderful because I really love this record.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would, but I think it's, may I say, as far as Yoko's work, it's pretty damn good. Almost brilliant. It's a brilliant record, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned the experimental sounds and voicings and stuff. There's a little bit on here,
Yeah.
and we're going to talk to it. I mean, I can talk about some tracks that I particularly enjoy, but the one that I'll get to it.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to say that John Lennon, for all you John Lennon Beatle people out there, he's the co-producer on here. He's doing background vocals and playing guitar, but he didn't have a lot to do with this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's listed as co-producer, but he was really kind of absent during these sessions because he had all that immigration stuff. The US government was going after him. So he was a bit distracted. So this, I kind of look at it as a real Yoko Ono, say that really fast, Yoko Ono album.
Yeah.
More a solo record than maybe a collaboration or something. Because, John and Yoko together, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my God, it hits it right out of the park. The opening track, Yin Yang, killer guitar riff. When I first hear it in my mind, I always try to compare a lot of like other artists and maybe who Yoko might have influenced. First, I'm going to throw it out here. I'm going to say I hear Laurie Anderson, I hear Bjork, I hear Kate Bush to some degree. B-52s were very influenced by Yoko, and we're going to get to the B-52s here in a minute.
Yeah.
I don't really hear much B-52s here, but I think the opening track here is striking. What a way to open it.
Yeah.
It's a bit repetitive, but who knew that Yoko could be so intriguing? What a great opener.
Yeah.
Another track. I mean, you have to admit, side one on this record really knocks it out of the park. Death of Samantha, great groove. Yoko sounds wonderful. Um, the other thing that track that I was mentioning, because I mentioned B-52s.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are you a B-52s fan? Okay.
Yeah, I like them. Yeah.
Well,
Rock
they put an
Lobster and-
album out called Whammy. Now, the first pressing of it had Yoko Ono track, Don't Worry, Kyoko.
Oh,
Now, this is the first pressing. It's on here, but they pulled it. There was something to do with Yoko didn't want it on the record. I don't know. It's never been re-released. It's never come out in a digital format. But if you listen to it, they are so influenced by Yoko. It is amazing.
Yeah.
If you can find this record, I highly recommend you check it out because, well, it's a B-52s for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But where I was going with that, the track, What Did I Do? You get some of Yoko's, she's not more experimental vocals.
Yeah.
She's kind of shrieking, but you listen to it, it sounds exactly like Planet Claire or Rock Lobster. Amazing. You really hear the B-52 on this track. I highly recommend you check that out. What Did I Do? Probably my favorite track on the album. I love it.
I think my favorite is the title track, approximately Infinite Universe.
Yeah.
But then, like that final song, looking over from my hotel window, it's so, it's about suicide, and it's very touching, I think.
Yeah. Not Peter the Dealer.
Yeah.
Another very accessible track.
Yeah.
And I can't get over. She can really write.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I'm saying that, but I guess I'm on team.
Next, you're going to say she can really sing.
Well,
she can sometimes, I think. Like,
she's not bad. There's not really anything on here that makes you want to go hide in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
I just can't. It just seems so ambitious. A 2-record set, but then it hits it out of the park. There are a lot of ballads on here. What a Bastard the World Is, a ballad, but she really mixed it up. And I think the sequencing on this record, it really flows well. I mean, of course, I listen to this. I really can't hear any singles. It's not like this is really commercial.
Yeah.
This is probably the most commercial thing, at least what I've read, that she's probably ever done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's even tracks on here that you can listen to, and you might second guess it. Is this really Yoko?
Yeah.
I felt like smashing my face in a clear glass window. I was just listening to it casually. I've listened to this album, I've been listening to it since we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even really sound like Yoko.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a great record.
When I told my buddy Glenn Kellaway that we were doing this today, right? He's looking forward to it, but he laughs, right? Because he says he's not a fan of Yoko Ono, but he's like the kind of person. Hi, Glenn. I don't think he's taken the time to really listen. That's all. Not everybody's going to like it. I understand that. I didn't know if you would, right? But I took a chance.
Well, it helps if you at least approach a Beatle fan to some degree, I think.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe not, because some Beatle fans just look at Yoko like she's pure evil, and it's really not that situation.
Yeah.
But as an artist, as a record album, of course, this would never sell. I'm surprised, but are we going to do like ratings? Do you want like my rating if I was going to
at
rate
the end?
this
Sure.
too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a rating for this. But yeah, I like it quite a bit.
So what would be your top 5 songs?
Oh my God, that's hard. I do love Yin Yang opening track, of course. I would say What Did I Do is my favorite.
Yeah.
I do like Song for John. I think it's very touching, a beautiful ballad. Let's see. Winter Song's another lovely ballad, I think. Looking Over From my hotel window, I dig that.
Yeah.
It's hard to really pick out really favorite tracks because the album is that strong. Larry, I can't even believe I'm even saying that.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't like it, I would let you know.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah. 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 I wanted anybody that I always want people to be honest, right? Like,
yeah.
it sucks though when you love an album and somebody else dislikes it, but that's
Well,
the
it
way it
makes an
goes.
interesting
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
But
The other thing about this album, there's a lot of variety, and it goes from fun, humorous kind of songs to the really deep, dark, kind of depressing songs. It's
mhm,
pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah, I I dig it.
So, what would be drum roll? What would be your rating, like out of 10, I guess?
Out of 10. Now, obviously, it's not a perfect record. We're
Yeah.
talking Yoko Ono. I mean, she's more of a experimental avant-garde artist, but for someone who in that realm doing basically it's not a pop record. Well, kind of is a pop record, I guess. I would I would give this a solid 7 out of 10, I'd say.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not bad at all.
And do you think, because this was, I think, 1971?
I think this is 73.
73, right? Okay. Do you think it was ahead of its time at all?
I do.
Yeah.
Because I can listen to this. I'm glad you brought that up because I have that in my notes. If you're all right, think about this. New wave really didn't hit till like 1980, 1981, 79 if you count Gary Newman Cars. I would
Yeah.
say that's new wave. This is the precursor to new wave, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not really saying punk rock, but I can hear, like I said, those influences, the B-52s. It could be in that new wave genre. It's not new wave, but you can hear those tendencies in this record. It's a way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Elephant's Memory backing her up, but I mean, you mentioned funk, we've got R&B, we've got, well, of course, ballads, things like that. It's all over the map, but her delivery fits right in with a lot of these new wave artists.
Mhm.
She fits right in. She was an innovator, for God's sakes. Anybody watching this show, you really have to sample this record.
Yeah.
I swear to God, you've got a bad attitude about Yoko, this will totally. Glenn Calloway, please go listen to this for God's sakes.
Yeah. And also, there's a couple of compilations where people would remix her music for her,
Mhm.
and I didn't know this. I didn't know they had an interest in it, but Sparks did a remix of a later song from Double Fantasy, "Give Me Something," for the album Yes, I'm a Witch Too. So they're obviously fans.
Oh, I don't think you would have Sparks without Yoko.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good that you did mention Sparks because I can hear the influence from her. Because think about it, a lot of these artists that we've mentioned, they've all been touched by her work.
Yep.
And most people don't really realize that. But
Yeah.
once you start doing some research on it, and then you go back and listen to it. But I've always known that the Bees loved Yoko, and
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
it just shines through their work.
Yeah.
The one album I wanted to like Mesopotamia, which was their EP that David Byrne produced, which I think is a phenomenal record. I wish it would have been a whole album. You can listen to the instrumentation on Mesopotamia and make a direct connection to this record because they sound very similar.
Hmm.
I don't know, and I love Mesopotamia, so that probably helps me like this quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anybody's made a direct connection between the two, but I can still hear that influence on that record. So,
Yeah. And I just found out today, going through on the internet, that Mick Jagger plays guitar on "Is Winter Here to Stay."
yeah.
So she is respected. I mean, look at Paul McCartney, and I don't know if you saw the Get Back documentary. Yeah, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
But he's playing drums and Yoko's doing her thing, but it's kind of like a little bit of respect there that he's, playing along with her, and Ringo's played on some of her tracks in the
Yeah.
past.
I mean,
Mick
everything's
Jagger
fine.
and yeah.
But
So
yeah, it is what it is.
she just needs a bit more respect. That's all I'm asking people.
I give her respect. You've got my respect for her now.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for this show, I would never have heard it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So is there anything else before we wrap it up?
Uh, what would be your rating? What would you rate this
Well,
out of 10,
well,
Larry?
well, like I said, I posted on Twitter once that it's one of my top 10 double albums of all time. And then I'll have the, what do you call it? Twitter
The twit
response
down there?
from Sean
Okay.
Lennon. He said, "Real? Oh, wow, really?" It's like, even for him, it was like, oh, somebody in the top 10. I would give it a 9 out of 10
Oh,
at least.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I've played it a
totally
lot.
get it.
Although my favorite album of hers is Season of Glass, which I don't have because I'm waiting for it to hopefully be remastered after all of these years. It came out after John
Yeah,
Lennon
because that was on
passing.
Geffen, wasn't it? I think
Yeah.
that came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard it.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be like a tough listen. It's like if you listen to Double Fantasy,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to listen to Double Fantasy.
Yeah. Well, the very first song is called Goodbye Sadness.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
would be a tough listen. Maybe I could, but it's still hard. I still have not got, I can listen to Double Fantasy and I just
Yeah.
become saddened.
And I don't know if you're aware of the album cover for that, Season of Glass.
Yeah.
And I know some people, oh, that's sick or whatever.
No.
But
it's
I
a tribute.
understand why she did that, because I think John Lennon would have done it, right? Look at what
Mhm.
he's done, Two Virgins and all that. This is us naked, right? And it's like, look, this is what happened. This is reality, right?
Very powerful image.
Yeah.
But yeah, made
Yeah.
a statement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I hope everyone checks out Grant's channel. I really enjoy it when I have time to watch it. And
There you go.
look at that. There's fireworks.
Why not?
Why doesn't it happen for me?
You've got to have Windows. I mean, you have to be on a Mac with an
Oh,
M1
Mac.
chip.
Okay. You have special powers.
I do. I do.
So yeah, thank you for this. And I'm happy. And I'm happy you're happy.
As
I'm
long
glad
as
you
we're
you
all.
bought the album and it's like you didn't dislike it, right?
No, I love it.
Yeah. So thanks. And I'll talk to you after this for a few
Okay,
minutes. But
cool. Well, thanks
thanks,
for having me on.
everybody.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.